Here on India Today, we're getting you voices from the ground, from Kiev, of Ukrainians desperate for help. They're saying that the United States has a responsibility here to offer us all the help they can. And not just sanctions, but to offer military support to ensure that Ukraine can actually put up a fight against Russia. Now, with things escalating the way they are in Ukraine, multiple reports coming in of explosions, of blasts, of the Russian invasion already beginning across Ukraine. This is not limited to eastern Ukraine anymore. I want to take this across to our Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan. She's joining us from right outside the Ukrainian embassy. Geeta, right now for India, the focus is going to be on evacuation of Indian nationals, of Indian students. India at the UNSC mentioned that there are roughly about 20,000 Indian nationals still in Ukraine.
Well, that's right. The primary focus of the Indian administration will be, apart from the fact that they would want to see de-escalation of tensions, is the Indian Indian community that still is in Ukraine. There are many students. The last we reported, Akshita, about over 20,000 Indian nationals were in Ukraine. There were only a few who've returned. So among the 18 to 20,000 who were there, there are just a few who've come back to India. There are many who are still in Ukraine. The situation was normal, and so universities were not going online. Many students who are medical students and engineering students, particularly the medical students, did not want to return and miss out on the classes. But right now, focus of the Indian administration would be most probably the safe return of Indian nationals. Now, how they're going to do it is the question. With the NOTAM issued and Ukraine now becoming a no-fly zone, we already have an Air India flight that's en route to Kiev. But given that it's a no-fly zone, we'll again have to see what plan B is for the Indian administration. How are they going to get the Indians out should tensions escalate between Russia and Ukraine? We are already seeing explosions that are being reported and shelling from across the country, particularly in the Donbas region. But if it moves forward and if Russia's aggression continues, then it is a real worry for all the foreign nationals in Ukraine, but more so for the safety and security of the people of Ukraine. You have been speaking to people on the ground in Ukraine. It seems like nobody right now, and they have been saying it all along, Akshita, that nobody in Ukraine really wants war. In fact, President Biden also in a statement had said, when he announced economic sanctions, that US will not go to war with Russia. Will that statement, will things on the ground, with things changing on the ground, will the statement also change? Will the West walk the talk on standing with and standing by Ukraine?
I also want to take this across to Rohit Sharma. He's reporting live from Washington, D.C. currently. Rohit, what is the United States response to what's playing out right now in Ukraine?
I think, as obviously we've seen from the statement from the President Joe Biden, I think it seems like, they're evaluating their options. It also seems like, everything is on the table, which means essentially all sanctions, full scale of sanctions on the table, which also includes SWIFT. Now, it will obviously remain to be seen, as I think somebody else was speaking right now, that what else the U.S. can do. But as far as I know, as far as I've been told by senior State Department officials over here in the U.S., it looks very highly unlikely that the U.S. will put boots on the ground. I think they will continue to work with their allies. I mean, there's a G7 meeting that's going to be that President Biden is going to attend tomorrow. He's going to sort of spearhead that meeting tomorrow. And after that, I think we'll probably see more sanctions coming in tomorrow. I really do not think there will be any sort of boots on the ground or military engagement with the Ukraine forces.
That's exactly it, Rohit. We've been speaking to many Ukrainians who've been putting out appeals saying that the kind of help we need is military support. And that's clearly off the table here. There could be more sanctions. There could be decisions by US and its allies to further alienate Russia. But is that where they draw the line?
I think so, pretty much so for now. There's a lot of things going on. I mean, if you have to speak domestically for President Joe Biden, inflation is really high, 40-year high. He obviously cannot, the American public would not tolerate any more, higher gas prices. So there are a lot of domestic challenges for Joe Biden. One of the reasons Joe Biden gave for withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan was to, basically look towards east and look towards China. So there are a lot of things that play here. I think America has obviously, been trying to sort of bring Putin to table to talk, negotiate with sanctions. And I think that's the route they will probably proceed with even tomorrow.
Also, there will be questions, Rohit, on how the United States and NATO as a whole dealt with this entire crisis, whether all of this that's playing out in Ukraine right now was inevitable, and whether Russia alone is to blame, or whether the United States also didn't make the right moves, didn't play their cards right.
I mean, the mood has been that the U.S. has been playing a more reactive role, right? I mean, probably not, leading. But I think at the same time, I think there is also the sense that this was inevitable. I mean, the U.S. has been going out and saying for the past at least 3 weeks that this was going to happen. They even announced a date, right? So they sort of were calling out Putin, to sort of bring him back to table, sort of negotiate with him. But I think at this point in time, obviously Putin, I mean, think about it, right? When the UNSC meeting was happening, that's exactly when he went on air. So everybody basically was watching the Russian president talking rather than the UNSC meeting. So he's planned it to perfection. As far as, the game that's being played by diplomatic channels, how to resolve this is still on. I mean, I was told that there could still be a possibility tomorrow, once the sanctions are out, that to bring Putin to table, but seems highly unlikely. I think Putin has obviously gone with the war, and it only remains to be seen the extent to which he will proceed with this war.
Countries will be looking to the West, will be looking to the United States to see how they respond. But I also understand that there's a lot of pressure within on the Biden administration, Rohit. And if you could elaborate the kind of reactions that are coming, particularly from Republicans who are demanding answers right now of Biden. So there'll be that much more increased pressure on the White House to act right here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the reaction of Donald Trump. He called into a TV show and said, this is all happening because of rigged elections. So I think a lot of Republicans are, attributing to the fact that, if Donald Trump was the president, this would not be happening. But the bottom line is, Joe Biden's had a tough presidency, in the past 2 years after COVID, it was Afghanistan and now Russia. So I think it's very, very, very challenging for Joe Biden. I mean, there was a piece that I read this morning, who wants to be, American president when there's so many things going around. But essentially, I think for Joe Biden at this point in time, there's a lot of pressure, not only from Republicans, even from Democratic senators. I mean, I heard Senator Bob Menendez basically coming out and saying, we should do everything we can. Now, unfortunately, when you say you should do everything you can, for America, that red line is sanctions. So the biggest thing that America can do probably tomorrow is SWIFT, Will America take that line along with G7 and NATO allies? That remains to be seen. But Joe Biden in no way, shape or form is going to go for a military engagement at this point in time.
I think that's clear that that's not an option really that Biden even has. Yes, you'll see very strong statements, attempts perhaps to pile pressure diplomatically also on Russia. But is it too little too late now for that as well? Because it almost looks, Rohit, to many who are in fact analyzing this and the kind of diplomacy that's played out, that Putin, being a no-nonsense man, decided that, he's going to bite the bullet essentially because he knew that the United States would never actually put boots on the ground.
Well, they won't. I mean, let's put another scenario here, right? And we're just contemplating, or speculating at this point in time. Unless, Putin actually goes across the borders and tries to do something in, one of the NATO countries, right? Up until then, I think the message is pretty clear. We'll help Ukraine with all the ammunition, all the weaponry, all the intelligence that we can provide you with to fight this war. This is your war. You need to fight this. We'll support you. But I think at the end of the day, I think Putin knew this all too well. I think the timing of this invasion is what has, probably surprised a lot of people. But knowing Russian President Vladimir Putin, I think he must have definitely calculated what America was going through domestically to start an invasion at this point in time.
Okay, Rohit, getting us those details really from Washington on what we can expect from the United States. At this point, Biden in his statement seems to have suggested that they're going with a wait-and-watch policy to talk to their allies and figure out what their next step will be. Yes, they've come out with a very, very strong condemnation, but it stopped there. And Ukrainians that we've been speaking to here on India Today have been putting out just one appeal, saying that if we want to put up any sort of fight against Russia, We need military support. Remember that Putin, in his statement, has also put out an appeal to all Ukrainian troops, saying, lay down your arms, ensure that there are minimum casualties in this operation. He's referred to it as a military operation. But that's something that the MPs that we've spoken to, the members of parliament in Ukraine, they're maintaining that that's not an option. We're going to fight and we're going to hit back at Russia. But if you look at it militarily, the kind of comparisons of, the troops, the kind of artillery that Russia versus Ukraine has, Russia quite simply stands no chance against Russia, which is why the need for Ukraine will be to get as much military support as they can, something that most countries will hesitate from doing. Yes, they will, in fact, impose sanctions, try to alienate Russia, diplomatically take on Russia. But that's pretty much where the line perhaps will be drawn, which is why these scenes right now are playing out in Ukraine. Because Putin perhaps realized that that's how things are going to play out, that he can take this adverse step and there will be no military fireback at him. And it's because of that that Putin announced hours ago that he's going ahead with this military operation. He didn't use the word war, but make no doubt that that's exactly what this means. Geeta Mohan is tracking all the latest also from the Ukrainian embassy. As far as India is concerned, Geeta, can we really afford to sit on the fence on this one?
Well, again, it's for India, the stakes are very high. A priority also safety and security of Indian nationals in Ukraine. No country, Akshita, if this aggression moves to a full-scale war, can sit on the sides. Like most of the representatives at the United Nations said, that the world has to be united against any kind of aggression. But the countries will then have to decide what kind of aggression, what's the step and what's the stand. India will have to speak up in case there is
Geeta, I'll just come back to you. Joining us on this broadcast is Sofia Fedena, Ukrainian MP. Sofia, thank you for joining us here in India today. I hope you're safe. I hope your family is safe. Our prayers are with you and all Ukrainians today. I want to understand from you, when was the moment that you realized that war has hit your country? The moment that Putin announced it, and I'm sure this was inevitable, but the moment that it really struck you?
It started on the 20th of February 2014. And from that time, every day the war was going on. Today at 5:30 approximately in the morning Ukrainian time, they started the massive attack on the different places in Ukraine. And in Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, that is very far from the front line, there we hear explosions. Few moments again, there was more explosions and also the air alarm. So people can go to some safe places to protect themselves. We know that the attack on the front line started massively approximately at 3 a.m.
Sofia, can you tell us what is the situation right now in the capital of Kiev? Because there are a lot of very worrying reports that are coming in of explosions even being heard in Kiev right now.
The explosions are being heard in Kyiv, but according to official data, these were explosions on a military storage around Kyiv and approximately 100 kilometers from Kyiv. We do not exactly what were the consequences of these explosions. Not yet the television was able to show it. But as we know, all over the territory of Ukraine, especially east, south, and north, they attack the military airports and they attack the military stockpiles. So they want to make unavailable, they want to disable the planes to bring more stockpiles, to bring food, to bring more weapon to different regions in Ukraine so people can protect themselves. As we know from the front line, they use the hard artillery. Also, we have a heavy shelling on the line, on the administrative border with Crimean Peninsula. And they try to get into Ukraine-controlled territory.
What's the advisory that's gone out to Ukrainians, to citizens right now? Because I'm sure they're all very, very scared. I can only imagine the thoughts that are going through them and for their family's safety as well, Sofia. Has there been any sort of advisory from perhaps the government on exactly what they should be doing to keep themselves safe?
The government says no panic for the last few weeks. but we have a lot of military and volunteers who instructed people for a long time how to act in case of the possible attack. We already got an instructions, and all the people who wanted got the instructions what to take in a special in a special bag that you need to have ready. And now people are advised to go to the safe places to withstand the air attack that might be possible over Kyiv right now. But the parliament, I think in an hour or in 2 hours, is going to have an extraordinary session, and we are going to implement the military state in the country. That means that there will be different mechanisms of the interaction. Furthermore, in the military state, the parliament works without any break.
Okay. Sophia, also, the Russian president in his statement, I'm sure you've gone through his statement in its entirety. He's put out an appeal asking Ukrainian troops to lay down their arms. Is that something that's being considered? Is that an option?
What we have to consider that Moscow Federation should back off, because Ukrainians are not going to stop in protection of our country. This terrorist, the Putin, the murderer and the killer, he is doing everything to pervert the information, and he is symbolically bombing all the informational mass media that with information that Ukraine is an aggressor and Ukraine is invading. But now we see clearly Moscow troops, Moscow army, Moscow aircrafts now invaded to Ukraine. And I think there should be no discussion with the aggressor, but the union of all the democratic states to stop him.
Did you have any sort of heads up, Sophia, as an MP, that this was going to happen today at 5 a.m., that there was going to be such an announcement?
We expected it. Putin loves symbolical datas. Putin loves symbolical time. The Second World War for the Soviet Union started at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I think that he used that data to invade Ukraine. As Putin often names Ukraine to be fascist country, as we try, we fight for our right to be independent. And I think he symbolically started as approximately at 4 p.m., 3:30, just to show that he is fighting some illegal country. But the only illegal country in this context is the Moscow Federation.
Sophia, you've been mentioning how this has been, festering for weeks now. Considering that, what are the emergency plans that have been laid out for the safety of Ukrainians, for you as a member of parliament? Any safe houses that have been set up?
Yes, there are safe houses. Of course, I will not tell the locations.
I understand.
But I more care about people. And I hope that everyone will get the safe place to protect themselves. In Kyiv, I think we do not have the most critical situation, but in Kharkiv, in Mykolaiv, in Mariupol, that is almost on the front line, in Kryvyi Rih, the situation is much more complicated. And I think in a few minutes, we're going to decide how we can help all those people.
What is the plan going forward, Sophia? Things have escalated to this sense now of a full-blown invasion by Russia. As you said, you saw it coming for the last many, many weeks. What's the plan to ensure minimum casualties among Ukrainians, among citizens?
Get ready and have a weapon and to protect the country. We do understand that Putin is not going to stop on Ukraine. Any other democratic country, unfortunately, that might be Poland, Baltic countries, they are under the possible attack. So the first plan is weapon and experience that a lot of Ukrainian soldiers already have, a lot of Ukrainians have. And the many veterans, they are returning back to army right now in this minute. The second is to unite with our partners, to close the sky, to have the air defense system of NATO, and to get more possibilities to protect ourselves.
I'm not sure if you've had a chance, Sophia, to also read the statement that's been put out by the White House. What's your appeal right now with how things stand from the United States, from the other countries, from the NATO?
They should stop any cooperation with Moscow Federation, to cut off all the possible links and to block every single possible resource for Moscow Federation to survive. That's the only thing that might try to stop Putin. But I think that he got totally mad and we will have together to withstand this aggression. I think we have all to be ready for the possible invasion, wider invasion.
There are a lot of questions also, Sophia, about the head of the state, about President Zelensky and his safety. Can you give us any update on that as well? Have there been arrangements made for his safety?
I do not know exactly, but I think his arrangements will be the highest possible.
Okay, all right. Sophia, thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. Again, our prayers for your safety, for your family, and for every Ukrainian. We can only imagine how difficult a time this is, and we offer all possible support that we can to you and to every Ukrainian. Let me also, in fact, get you now a voice from an Indian student who is in Ukraine. Shiv Karthik is joining us. He is, in fact, joining us from Hyderabad. Shiv, take us through really what played out with you. It's good to know that you're now in Hyderabad, but tell us what happened. All right, apologies. I understand you are currently in Ukraine. You're from Hyderabad. So tell us, are you able to get out right now? Any communication right now with authorities here in India?
Unfortunately not. We all Indian students are stranded right now at the railway station here in Kiev right now.
So you're at the railway station right now. Have you been able to reach out to any authority, someone who's come out to help you?
Yes, some Indian students are in contact with the Indian embassy, but we're not sure yet.
Okay, and how many of you are there?
About 50 students here, I can see.
50 students are around you. Can I request you, Shiv, to kind of turn your camera around and show us what's happening around you also? I want to see how many people are gathered at the railway station.
Sure.
Okay, so I see a lot of people around you with bags. Did all of you go to the airport and then move to the railway station after realizing airspaces are closed?
No, we haven't gone to the airport yet. We heard that the flights just got cancelled. So we're just waiting for confirmation.
Okay, and have you been trying to get out of Ukraine for the last few days? Because the government here did state, that they've increased flights for the last few days from Ukraine. Was there an attempt by you to book a ticket and you didn't manage to?
There were such scenarios, but right now this was just a rescue flight by Air India. And we were trying to board this one. This was the second rescue flight, but unfortunately it just got cancelled now.
Okay, I hope you're safe where you are currently at the railway station.
Yeah, we're safe here right now.
Okay, and I'm sure a lot of people have gathered there trying to get out as well. But again, have you been able to get in touch with anyone here in India from the government? Shiv, have you tried to contact someone?
Me personally, I haven't.
Okay, Shiv, what I'm also going to do is our office will get in touch with you with some helpline numbers also that can help you perhaps and all the other students. How many of you are there? Are you and your friends stuck there currently? Did any of your friends manage to leave already?
I'm not aware of if anyone has left right now, but we're all here waiting. And there are no trains or public transport going back to our cities from Kiev right now.
Okay, so you're not able to move from where you are currently. There's no public transport either to take you anywhere?
Yes, exactly.
So are trains ferrying right now?
Trains are not going back to the cities where we came from in Ukraine.
How did you get to the railway station, Shiv?
I just came in the train, but the trains aren't going back.
And how many hours have you really been there? Have you been able to really communicate with your family back home?
I have been communicating with them recently.
Okay, and how many hours have you been stuck there at the railway station?
Since past 2 hours.
Okay, and are there any authorities on the ground there at the railway station to help you out, maybe tell you what's going to happen next?
Not yet.
Okay, and you're telling me that there are about 50 students, all of you are stuck there. What is the kind of communication? You said some of them have managed to reach out to authorities. What have they said so far? Have they told you to stay put?
I'm unaware of the official information yet.
Okay, nothing officially yet. So Shiv is getting us those details there from the railway station. Shiv, the moment the news broke of the invasion by Russia into Ukraine, is that when you decided to pack up your bags?
Yes, exactly.
And since then, did you try to reach out to someone in India? Did your family also try to reach out to someone?
Yes, we were trying to just talk and sort it out to make me reach as fast as possible.
Okay, and there's been no communication?
I mean, the flights were operational just right now. In the morning, we just heard the bad news and the airbase had to shut off. So we can't predict anything.
So in your discussion with all the others, your friends and classmates who are there as well, what are you planning to do next? Are you planning to just stay and hold on till you get some intimation from the authorities?
No, we just planning to go back to our cities here in Ukraine.
Okay. Where were you based, Shiv? And tell us what's been playing out for the last few weeks where you were.
It was absolutely normal here in Ukraine right now. But since today morning, we've been hearing some reports of Russian invasion and whatever. And the airbase has been shut off.
And what about your college? Have they been able to, and your university, have they given any communication to you about what you should do next?
Unfortunately not. They're just going on as usual.
Okay, so classes are going on as usual.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shiv, at this point, what is the kind of help you hope you will receive from the government?
All we need is to arrange the Air India flights so that we reach our home safely.
Okay, and what are the other options you're considering right now? Because you said that public transport isn't plying right now on the roads. What are you planning to do next?
I'm not sure of it, but maybe we'll just something and we'll reach out to our cities as fast as possible.
And I hope you have access to food and water where you are at the railway station, because I see that a lot of people, as you showed us, have also gathered there. So is there help that's reaching all of you?
Yes, it's absolutely normal, the situation right now over here.
Okay, you told me that, a few hours back is when you decided to travel. Just tell us really what you saw around you, Shiv. Is there a lot of panic among residents, among Ukrainians after what's played out?
No, it's absolutely normal amongst them.
Okay, all right.
There's no panic, yeah.
Okay, Shiv, I hope, and we'll keep coming back to you because we'd like to get an update also and hope you're safe. You're currently at the railway station, yes, along with a group of other students. So we're going to try to help you as well here on India Today and ensure that, all of the Indian students who are stuck currently at the Kiev railway station get the help they need, can get back. There's a bit of a problem there on that front. I'm sure, Shiv, you understand, because of the fact that, they've closed down the airspaces. So we understand that the Indian authorities are also working round the clock closely to figure out what to do to ensure that you, along with your friends, are safely and immediately evacuated. Till then, hold tight, Shiv. Thank you for joining us here on India Today. We'll, of course, continue to very closely communicate with you and offer any help that we can. There are many such students who are currently stranded in Ukraine, in Kiev, and we're going to continue to reach out to them here on India Today as well to kind of help them in any way that we can. Shiv Arora is also with us here in the studios. Shiv, we just spoke to that Indian student. Many such students, many such Indian nationals unable to get back home now, considering that the airspace has been closed.